You know the move. You're on the couch, in the good spot, the warm spot, the spot you've been cultivating for 20 minutes. Your dog wants that spot. So your dog walks to the window and barks at absolutely nothing. And you, a grown adult with a job, get up to see what's out there. There's nothing out there. There was never anything out there. You turn around and your dog is in your spot, doing the little contented sigh. The sigh of a creature that has won. And honestly, fine. We've all been played by the dog. But here's the part that should actually get your attention. Your dog runs that exact same con on other dogs. And that's the version scientists can't stop studying. I'll be honest with you up front, because that's sort of the whole theme today. You clicked on Do Dogs Lie to Each Other, expecting a tiny four-legged con artist, a furry little fraud. We'll get there, but the real answer is stranger than yes, and more interesting than yes, so stick around, because the truth does a little plot twist. Let's start with the part that's real, because it's almost too perfect. There's a dog cognition researcher named Marianne Heberlein at the University of Zurich. The reason she ended up studying canine deception is that she watched her own dogs do it. To each other. One of her dogs worked out that if it pretended there was something interesting outside, the other dog would get up to check, which freed up the better resting spot, which the first dog then immediately stole. Sound familiar? That's the couch trick. Same fake distraction, same bark at nothing. Except the mark this time was another dog, not a gullible human. Which means when your dog pulls it on you, it's not improvising. It's using a move that works on its own kind. So Heberlein did what any reasonable person does after their pet outsmarts them. She built an experiment to prove it. A dog meets three kinds of human. The owner, who always shares the food. A friendly stranger who also shares. And the competitive stranger, who's a taker. You lead them to food, and they keep it. For themselves. A monster, basically. Then the dog gets a job. It can lead a partner to one of three boxes. One has the food the dog really wants. One has food it's meh about. One is empty. And here's the key. After the dog leads a partner, it gets to lead its own owner next. So it pays to think this through. And the dogs thought it through. Day 1, they led the sharer to the good box more often than chance, and more often than they led the taker there. Day 2, they got savage. They led the taker to the good food less than chance would predict, and walked them to the empty box, the nothing box, more than they ever did the friend. Let that sit for a second. The dog wasn't confused. It learned who the selfish human was, and then walked them, specifically, to a box it knew was empty. That's not a mistake. That's a tiny act of revenge with a food motive. The researchers, who have to write this stuff carefully, called it tactical deception. The polite academic way of saying, your dog will absolutely send you the wrong way if it suits them. And this wasn't a fluke. The same lab ran a newer version in 2025, and the dogs went further. They didn't just stop showing the taker the good food. They actively pointed them at an empty spot. A false signal. On purpose. There's even a clean name for it. Behavioral deception. A false signal that benefits you and costs the other guy. Your dog, it turns out, understands costs the other guy.
So that's it, right? Dogs are liars. Case closed. Roll credits.
Except no. And this is where it gets good. Because look at how dogs actually talk to each other, and the whole system runs on the opposite of lying. It runs on honesty. Aggressively so. Enter the play bow. You know it. Front legs down, butt up, tail going. The universal dog signal for let's play. And it's not just a dog thing. It shows up in coyotes, wolves, foxes, and, according to the research, even lions. Here's why it matters. Dog play looks unhinged. Biting, body slamming, growling. All the stuff that in any other context means a real fight. So dogs need a way to say, everything I'm about to do is a joke. Don't take it personally. A lot of researchers think that's the bow. A little disclaimer. Fine print with a tail. Although, full honesty, scientists argue about what the bow means. Some back the disclaimer idea, others couldn't confirm it and figure the bow just restarts the game after a pause. We've spent decades fighting about the butt up pose. This is science. But the trust in the signal is the remarkable part. Even when a dog follows a play bow with something that looks aggressive, teeth, growling, the works, the other dog backs off or submits only about 15% of the time. The other 85%, it basically goes, "Nah, I know you. You're kidding." That's a society running on trust. And it goes deeper than the bow. Dogs and their relatives handicap themselves to keep play fair. A coyote won't bite its smaller playmate as hard as it could. A big dominant animal will flop onto its back, total surrender pose, something it would never do in a real fight, just to let the little guy win a round. They're nerfing themselves, on purpose, to keep the game fun. So now you've got a problem. If dog society runs on honesty, where does that leave the liars? Badly. It leaves them very badly. Because the flip side of everyone trusts the signals is that the system hates a cheater. An animal that keeps playing unfair, that keeps faking its signals, gets frozen out, ostracized. Nobody wants to play with the kid who won't follow the rules. And here's the most sobering fact in this whole video. In long-term field research on coyotes, the young ones that didn't play fair often left their pack. And coyotes who leave the pack were up to 4 times more likely to die. 4 times. For cheating at play. So honesty here isn't a nice to have. It's load-bearing. Lying is so dangerous to the group that the punishment for being a known liar is, statistically, an early grave. That's why deception is so rare and so situational. It's not that dogs can't lie. Heberlein's bed thief proved they can. It's that the whole system is built to make lying a terrible long-term plan. Now here's the part where I get to correct the internet, which is my favorite hobby. The tidy story everyone wants is this. Dogs learned to be clever little manipulators because we domesticated them. We made them sneaky. Wolves, those noble, honest beasts, would never. Yeah, that's not what the research shows. Run that same cooperative versus competitive partner test on wolves, hand-raised, living in a pack, and the wolves do the same thing dogs do. They work out who the taker is and treat the sharer differently. The wolves clocked it too. Which means the whole toolkit, reading who's cooperative, who's selfish, who gets the good box and who gets the empty one, probably isn't something we invented in dogs. It was already there, in their ancestors, long before the first wolf decided humans were worth tolerating. So we didn't teach dogs to be cunning. We just adopted a species that already had a sense of who's playing fair and who isn't. So, do dogs lie to each other? Sometimes. When the situation's right and the payoff's good, and there's a warm spot on the couch worth fighting for, yeah, they'll pull a fast one. Your dog is, on rare and specific occasions, a liar. But the bigger truth is they live in a world where honesty is the only thing keeping it all from falling apart. Where the signals mean what they say. Where cheaters get exiled. And where being trustworthy is, quite literally, a survival skill. Which is a higher standard than most humans manage. Anyway, your dog is still in your spot. It's been your spot this whole time. You're not getting it back.